Well, the topic of conversation this evening is going to be Deebo Samuel. Just saw a video posted of Deebo on social media running pretty damn fast on the treadmill. Let's have a look. That is 18.6 miles an hour, which for a guy of Deebo Samuel's size, let's not lie right now. Call a spade a spade. That's impressive. Now, you do wonder a little bit, is that a completely safe thing to do to fly off the treadmill with your ankles intact at 18.6 miles an hour? But Deebo's an athlete. He handled it, lands on 2 feet very, very gracefully. Anyway, the reason that this is important, the reason that this is significant is because Deebo Samuel himself has acknowledged that he was not in great condition last year. This is what he said on June 6th. So exactly a month ago tomorrow, Deebo Samuel vows to make amends for his, quote, awful 2022 performance. Deebo Samuel said in that interview, I'll never put nothing on tape like that again. Deebo had a meeting with Kyle Shanahan during OTAs in which he watched his tape from the 2022 season with the head coach. And Deebo Samuel got nauseous watching his own tape. He thought that he was loafing. He thought that he wasn't going full speed because he wasn't in great shape. In 2021, when Deebo Samuel earned his mega deal with the 49ers, a season in which he was one of the best players in all of football, Deebo Samuel was in excellent shape. In fact, during training camp in 2021, Deebo had a nickname around the 49ers facility. It was Skinny Deebo. He showed up in shape and ready to go. But then 2022 rolled around, and Deebo Samuel had the big contract drama over the course of the offseason. And he has since acknowledged that it got to his head a little bit, that it ruined his distraction a little bit, that it messed with him. And he came into 2022 out of shape. The seasons in which Deebo Samuel is out of shape have coincided with the seasons in which he's been injured. 2019 was in a lot better shape. Good year, good rookie seasons for Deebo Samuel. 2020 came in out of shape because he broke his foot in the offseason. And then the hamstring injury got him. But those were all residual effects of the broken foot that happened while the 49ers were working out in Nashville during the 2020 offseason. Then 2021, Deebo Samuel came in very good shape, put up massive numbers. 2022, contract drama, came in out of shape, and it was a worse season for him. So if it's a year on, year off kind of basis, it's the odd year for Deebo Samuel. 2023, just like 2021 and 2019, is an odd year, and maybe we can expect big production from Deebo. For statistical context, here's how he's done year by year. Look at the games played throughout the seasons. 15 in 2019, 16 in 2021. The two lowest numbers are 13 in 2022 and only 7 in 2020. What stands out to me is the yards per reception. Look how much more explosive Deebo Samuel was in his career year so far. 18.2 yards per reception, only 11.3, which was a career low this past season. Of course, we also like to look at rushing production because Deebo Samuel is a multifaceted player. He had such a good season in 2021 on the ground as well. 365 rushing yards. Wasn't terrible last year, but still 232 yards is not 365, and 5.5 yards per carry is not 6.2. So, I mean, you look at catch percentage. How often is a ball thrown to Deebo Samuel caught? That was the lowest that it's ever been in 2022. There's a lot to improve from last year's performance. Now, by no stretch of the imagination was it a terrible performance relative to other receivers. There are a lot of players in the league who would trade places with Deebo Samuel. 56 catches, 632 yards, plus 232 yards on the ground. That's, it's not 1,000 all-purpose yards, but it's getting close to it. But it is a far cry from what Deebo Samuel managed in 2021. Look at this, 1,405 receiving yards, 365 rushing yards. The thing is, if Deebo comes in shape and is able to deliver 2021 level efficiency, just imagine this. Imagine a 2021 level Deebo Samuel with Christian McCaffrey. That's downright scary for the 49ers offense because you've got these positionless skill position weapons, right? Deebo Samuel's listed as a wide receiver, but he can play running back. Christian McCaffrey is listed as a running back, but he can play wide receiver. How do you cover that? Well, it gets hard when you're not sure as a defense who's going to be where, and how the 49ers are going to deploy motions and then deploy these players on actual pass patterns. That's how they were the number one scoring offense down the stretch of last season. They had multiple different options, and defenses were never quite sure how to cover the five eligibles. That being said, the 49ers' multiple options did not include a Deebo Samuel, who was at 100% of his effectiveness, at least relative to 2021 standards. I would say that the longer that the season went on, the closer Deebo Samuel got to his 2021 form, to the point where against the Seahawks in the playoffs, he ran away from everybody. And it was that whole Deebo Samuel combination, right? He's really fast, but he's really big. So there's plays where he runs away from everyone because he's fast enough. And then if there is a straggling defender that might have a chance to tackle him, that defender decides not to do it. They make a business decision. Why do they make a business decision? Well, they make a business decision because Deebo Samuel looks like this. That's 220 pounds moving at nearly 19 miles an hour. A lot of momentum there. I don't think that people like to stand in front of a big rig truck. They probably don't like to get in the way of Deebo Samuel because the impact is similarly bruising. That is the glory of the 49ers offense, right? They have a lot of guys who other teams just don't want to tackle. They have a lot of guys that encourage opponents to make business decisions. Jordan Mason is one of them. Hell, even Christian McCaffrey ran over a few people, I remember, against the Raiders, or that really manly run that Christian McCaffrey had to score a touchdown against the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship game. But the Yak Monsters are on this football team, and that involves George Kittle as well. Even Brandon Ayuk has added some muscle since he entered the league. He might be the most slippery 49ers receiver, but he still plays with a lot of muscle. So imagine just adding fully operational Deebo Samuel to that whole mix. And that gives the 49ers an absolute wealth of skill position players. So I'm wondering where Deebo Samuel's going to go from here, but we do know that he's running 18.6 miles an hour on the treadmill right now. And I think let's put it up one more time. I think he's looking in solid shape right now. I think he's lost some weight ever since OTA started. He vowed to be ready to go for day one of training camp, and that's coming up in 20 days. So you can judge the progress right here. All right, let's open it up to a 49ers Q&A. Wanted to see how people like this time. It's 6:43 p.m. on the West Coast. Got to reach around the mic arm there. Don't want to knock my mic over. Did something a little bit earlier. What do you guys want me to write an article about, by the way? I'm looking for stuff to write here over the dead period. What would you like to know about the 49ers? And I could write a piece up on The Athletic about it. Let me know in the comments section. Go ahead and post your questions here. 49ers Q&A. Ray Jr. says Deebo will get back to being dominant. Ian Sharp says the Deebo ran over the poor Lambs. Could be a game changer for the offense. Think that he's going to be in shape. And yeah, I think he progressively got into shape last year. I mean, that touchdown against Seattle was really impressive. He was zooming away from people. He was making Seattle DBs make those business decisions. It's not easy. I mean, everybody likens football to a video game now because everybody seems to play Madden, and they think that all you have to do is run your defender into the ball carrier and the tackle is going to be made. In real life, it's tough to stand in front of a moving object with that much size, right? And that's what the 49ers do with their players who are really, really deadly in yards after the catch. Deebo Samuel probably is the headliner there when he's in tip-top condition. I mean, you walk by Deebo, I see him every day, right? So I could see how wide he is. And the guy is built like a brick. And NFL defenses are getting smaller, right? They're getting smaller and quicker to deal with all the shutter bugs. Well, then you have Deebo Samuel, who is zagging while the rest of the league is zigging. The one caveat, though, the asterisk, the requirement for Deebo Samuel to deliver on the level that he can deliver consistently is that at that kind of size, with that kind of style, there's going to be a lot of bruises. So you're going to have to be in really, really good condition to not get hurt, right? Because you're seeking out contact a lot of the time if you're Deebo Samuel. So you better be in great condition to minimize the bruises so you run away from as many defenders as possible, but B, be ready for them when you do inflict them, because inflicting bruises usually means that you're going to incur some as well. Lee Senger wants to see Deebo knocking out mouthpieces again. 2021 style. That was A.J. Terrell against the Atlanta Falcons on a Sunday afternoon at Levi Stadium. How much better do I think the offense will be with a full offseason for Christian McCaffrey? Well, they're pretty damn good without an offseason for Christian McCaffrey. They're scoring well over 30 points per game down the stretch last year. So it's going to be tough for the 49ers offense to be much better. I mean, this was the number one DVOA offense after picking up McCaffrey. Maybe they add a little bit more consistency at some points, but it's hard to complain with how good they were down the stretch last year. If anything, they need to avoid any regression hiccups that are going to come from a new right tackle in Colton McKivitz and from the quarterback uncertainty, because let's be honest, we're not 100% sure about who's going to be under center week one. The latest report on Brock Purdy was a promising one, but it's still not a definitive one. So the job of the 49ers offense will be to match what they did down the stretch last year. I don't think that should be taken for granted. Jalen Ramsey made that business decision too, week 4 of last year. See, that was earlier. I think earlier in the season, we saw spurts of Deebo Samuel being great, but that's one thing. As baseball players age, the big power hitters, they could still step up there at an older age and every once in a while crush a 480-foot home run. But because that bat speed is not quite as quick, it's not happening as frequently, right? So every once in a while, Deebo Samuel early in the season, when he wasn't in as great of shape, would land the home run like he did against the Rams on the Jalen Ramsey business decision play. But it didn't happen as frequently as it did in 2021. I think we saw stuff happen with greater frequency toward the end of the season, especially after Deebo Samuel came back from that injury that he suffered against Tampa Bay. Defenses might have keyed in on him, but then they couldn't key in on anybody once the 49ers got Christian McCaffrey. So it's going to be pick your poison, as you say in your message right here, Aaron. It's going to be a situation where the 49ers need to go to the open receiver. Brock Purdy needs to play point guard. That is not a pejorative. That is how you run this offense with those 5 eligibles being as good as they are. Joey Fisher. I mean, Joey Fisher looked fine during OTAs. They don't have pads on, right? We're get, training camp is the proving grounds for these undrafted free agents, for the rookies. You put the pads on, you see what these guys are made of. So Joey Fisher physically looks athletic. He looks well built, looks like he's in good shape, but I'm not going to be able to tell how he's going to fare at the NFL level until the 49ers put some pads on. The 49ers see Deebo run more frequently this year. I think he's ran a little bit more in 2021 when a lot of the running backs were hurt. Last season, they didn't need quite as much of it, but he still saw 42 carries. I think that he had 3.7 attempts per game in 2021 and 3.2 in 2022, slight downtick. If you're asking more frequently relative to 2022, maybe it ends up at 3.4, 3.5. I don't think you see Deebo getting more than 4 carries a game, though. I think that 3 to 4 range seems about right. You have to keep defenses guessing. So Deebo running occasionally is important, just like Christian McCaffrey going out of pass patterns is important. You can never pigeonhole these guys into one spot, because that's when it starts to become predictable for opposing defenses to cover. Eric Gomes. Deebo, BA, CMC, Kittle, Mitchell, etc. Opposing teams' nightmare. Again, one of the reasons that Christian McCaffrey can play as well as he does is because Deebo Samuel can take some of his role, right? And Elijah Mitchell can do both things too. Kyle Juszczyk is all over the field. This is an interchangeable offense. These guys can line up all over the formation. That is the beauty of the system, and that's the beauty of a player like Deebo Samuel and like Christian McCaffrey, because they can fit the system with those skill sets. I know that you're upset that I'm not answering your question, but I don't know what you're asking, to be honest. You asked any better progression for Trey. What are you asking? Rephrase your question so I understand it. Eric Gomes, the interchangeability of the 49ers unit. Everybody like the video, sub to the channel. Make sure you hit the little notification bell. I've gotten to write a lot of cool stuff here over the off season. I'm going to go to my page on The Athletic so we can go through some of it. Got my spot in San Francisco for the season today. That's exciting. And here we go. So the latest article was how the 49ers spend their cap dollars. This came out on Monday. We have the division of spending, 27.7% of the defensive line, number one in D line and tight end spending, down to number 14 in QB spending. The running back spend has gone up, the DB spend has gone down. That was the latest piece. Before that, we had the big piece on Christian McCaffrey and Logan's legacy. Unfortunately, Logan Hale passed away, but Christian McCaffrey trying to perpetuate his legacy of filling hospitals with video game systems for young patients. Really cool story there. I also wrote about Isaiah Oliver, who has brought some newfound size and versatility to the 49ers nickelback spot. And, if you have an idea, if you have something you want me to write about here over the next few days before stuff picks up, it's July 5th right now. We're 20 days away from training camp. Drop it into the comment section. We'll do some food here in Nashville. I'm in Nashville just resting for a little while. The reason I haven't done any food stuff is because I did so much of it while I was traveling. Now I have to, because I'm going to travel again a lot during the regular season. The 49ers this year are going to fly over 30,000 miles. It takes 29,000 miles to circumnavigate the earth. So the 49ers are going to circumnavigate the earth in airline mileage this year. That means a lot of traveling for me as well. And because of that, I'm not quite going out and doing a ton of food stuff. Although tomorrow I'm grilling pizza. So we could do a little pizza grilling show. I'm excited about that. I absolutely expect the 49ers to deploy more of a three safety look. That's why they picked Jair Brown. And that third safety, they decided not to keep Azeez Al-Shire, the third linebacker. Well, guess what? You can replace that third linebacker in certain formations with a third safety if you're looking for more of an adaptable look against the pass. So, yes, 100%. They've already talked about this. They're going to run some three safety looks. Mike wants to learn about the behind the scenes of the offensive coaching staff. Would love to learn more about that dynamic. All right, that's good. Eric wants to know about the pizza tomorrow. All right, we will deliver if you want that. I think Brown was picking up the playbook. He had 4 or 5 interceptions during OTAs. You want me to make a book about the surge of Brandon Ayuk, huh? What? I think just the story is enough right now. I don't know if there's enough for a book. Oh yeah, I'm on Thread now. I guess the competitor to Twitter. I have nothing against Twitter. I'm totally neutral in these social media wars. I'm just going to sign up for all of them. So if you want to join me on Instagram's version of Twitter, it's going to be right here. Threads.net at Lombardi himself. I don't know if this is web-based or not. Let me see if I can go to it. Yeah, it is. Cool. Hold on. Let me put this up. So this is like the new Twitter for me. Instagram's version of Twitter. Already 231 followers, so you can follow me there as well. Threads.net. I think part of it's only phone-based. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but they have this QR code down at the bottom that you can access. But I have 2 posts so far. The full breakdown from Nick Bosa and obviously my introduction post. So follow me on Threads. Guarantee it'll be a good time. Look, we're up to 232. I just refreshed the page. So I'll be on Twitter and I'll be on Threads. Good stuff. All right, more questions. I don't know what the limit on text that I can post is yet. I'm still messing around with it. Do I have a favorite seat in the press box? Yes, right at the 50-yard line. The closer to the middle, the better. If this is indeed Trent Williams' last year, do you see the Niners replacing him with the draft or free agency? Well, he still has several more years under contract, so I think a lot of it depends on how he plays. If Trent Williams continues to play as the best tackle in football, which he has been over the past few years, then it's not going to be his last year with the 49ers. You don't just let the best tackle walk. I do think that the 49ers, who will again have a number 1 pick first round pick this next year unless they trade it away. I do think that that makes sense for them to draft a tackle of the future. That tackle of the future can begin by playing right tackle if the 49ers keep Trent Williams at left tackle, and he could eventually become the successor to Trent Williams at left tackle. It's important to think ahead with stuff, but a lot of what the 49ers do will be decided by how their tackles actually play here in 2023. So if Trent Williams plays really well, then they're going to keep Trent Williams. If Colton McKivitz plays really well, Colton McKivitz will probably continue to be their starter at right tackle. They might forego drafting somebody really high if Colton McKivitz ends up being the answer there. But they're going to have to think about the longer term succession plan for Trent Williams, even if he has a great season. So I don't think that losing Trent Williams or cutting him or trading him is imminent, because right now he's still playing as the best tackle in the league. He is getting older, so let's see how 2023 plays out. Trent wants a Super Bowl before he goes. Greg Smith, I think Deebo Samuel played well last year, but Christian McCaffrey was better. What do you think about last year? Well, yeah, Christian McCaffrey was sensational last year. Hard to argue with that. Deebo Samuel wasn't in great shape. He says he's going to be in really good shape this year. We'll take his word for it. I have not yet been to all the stadiums. I'm going to add a few more to the list this year, so I'm really excited. So far, my favorite stadium is the Raiders Stadium. Allegiant Stadium in Vegas, because it's the press box is open air. You're not sealed off by glass, so you can hear the crowd. It's so cool when both the visiting team and the home team have great crowds. It was roaring for both the 49ers and the Raiders. I also saw a great game there. Access was really good on the sidelines. There was a lot to like about Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. So far, that's my favorite one. Trip to Africa was great. That's coming soon. I'll have a video from the safari. I'm just cutting up some clips. There was a lot of, we saw the big five. We saw, lions, rhinos, leopard, I think cheetahs, part of the big five. We saw all of that. And supposedly you have to be really, really lucky to see all of the big five, especially on your first visit to Africa. So we were out on the Serengeti in a tent in Tanzania. It was like glamping, but it was this nice tent, and you could hear lions like roaring outside the tent at night, hyenas at night. Diameter Lenore calls himself the hyena. We could have some fun with that. But it was fun, and there will be a lot of cool footage. I know that I shared some footage along the way, but I wanted to wait till people were back in the football swing of things to show you and to cut up some of that video. Yeah, the Sphere in Las Vegas looks crazy. Maybe I could go check that out. If it's open. I don't think it opens till September, actually. So it probably won't be open when the 49ers go through there for joint practices to the Raiders. Yeah, we've had Jeff Garcia on. We've had George Kittle on. And we'll have more on moving into the future. No new questions, huh? Do I see Deebo getting traded next year if Ayuk and Christian McCaffrey play like they did last year? Well, depends on how Deebo Samuel plays. I mean, if everybody plays really well and the 49ers form a juggernaut, it's the sum of the parts, right? It's everybody delivering at the level that Kyle Shanahan wants so he could take this offense to a supersonic level in its totality. So in that case, you wouldn't want to trade anybody. You'd want to keep the good thing going. If somebody's underperforming, if somebody's getting hurt too often, whatever, if somebody doesn't fit as well as the 49ers envisioned he'd fit, that's when you start talking about trading players. But if somebody's an A-list player, which Deebo Samuel was when the 49ers re-signed him, and he continues to be an A-list player in 2023, there's no reason for this team to not allow him to play out his contract. They gave him the contract with the intention of him finishing the contract, right? So that, everybody's always antsy about it. When are they going to trade him? When are they going to trade him? Let the season play out. And if guys play well, they're keeping everybody. Trust me. If guys play well, you do not trade them. It's once players start, petering out a little bit. That's when you try to make that move earlier rather than later. The rookie linebackers, are they going to make the roster? So you're talking about D. Winters, Jalen Graham. Marcelino McCrary Ball's no longer a rookie. We'll see if he makes the roster. He's going to have a good shot too. I think one of them will make it. I think, the 49ers can also stash guys in the practice squad. There's a lot more adaptability from the practice squad up than there used to be. So we'll see who's most impressive. I think that, some of the word is that Jalen Graham's been impressing them a lot. 6'3" linebacker, really long, good coverage guy out of Purdue. He was their 7th round pick. But I think that they really like both Jalen Graham and D. Winters. Someone has to go at the end of the season, or this is a question. I think the 49ers can afford to keep all the A-list players. The A-list core can grow as long as the B and C listers are replaced cost efficiently through the draft and through bargain bin free agency. It's a delicate balance to play, but the salary cap grows every single season, and it allows the 49ers to fork out bigger and bigger money to their star players with every season. Now, at some point, some guys are going to start reaching the end of their contract, and they may be in a position where the 49ers don't want to give them another deal because they are aging. But I don't think we're quite there yet. I think we're still a couple years away from the window not closing for the 49ers, but the window changing shape for the 49ers. So they're going to enjoy this original version of the window, which has expanded and expanded and expanded over the seasons as long as they possibly can. They have $10 million in cap space right now. Whatever they don't use in 2023 will be carried over into 2024 when there is a lot to pay for, a lot of liabilities for the 49ers. They're going to have to reduce the cost somehow. You don't necessarily have to do that through jettisoning players, though. You only have to do that once you've run out of tricks. The 49ers have not yet run out of tricks. I am on Threads. Somebody just got on here. Look, I am on Threads. To prove it to you, there I am. That's my Threads page. I've made 2 posts. And I have how many followers do I have here on Threads? 248. So go ahead and follow me on Threads. Lombardi himself, just like on Twitter. You guys want to do a meet and greet somewhere? If you want to do a meet and greet somewhere, let me know. Somebody give me a good idea. Maybe we could do that. That'd be fun. I mean, the window in NFL always threatens to close within a season or two unless you pry it and keep it open. And the 49ers have good management, so far they've kept it open. And I see a pathway to them keeping it open for several more years, but it's going to take some deft maneuvering. All right, everybody, thank you for all of your questions. I think we've been on for about 30 minutes, so that sounds good. Why don't you join me on Threads? Why don't you subscribe to the channel? And why don't you have a good night? Everybody, thank you. We'll talk to you very soon.